Hello, beautiful people. I'm Mariquita Solis with We Did It Health, and I'm excited to present this Earth Day live stream, Earth Day March live stream. We're going to be talking about these exciting new events that are taking place across the world tonight. And at We Did It Health, our mission is to inspire hopeful curiosity for people to learn more about whole food, plant based living and the vegan message for our planet, for the animals, and for our health. So I'm very excited for everybody who's watching. Please let StreamYard have permission to use your name so we'll know who's commenting because we want to see your comments. And if you have questions, please let us know the questions because we're here to answer them. And this might be something you want to be involved in next year because I know I want to be involved in this definitely. Unfortunately, this year I had a speaking engagement. If I hadn't had that, I would have been out there taking action with these beautiful ladies. And let me tell you who we have here. We have, well, Tami Hay, who is the founder of the Million Vegan Grandmothers, and she's a climate healer, and she's working very hard for our earth and for our planet, for our children, just to unite and bring together healing for this great planet. And we have the founder of the Vegan Earth Day March here, Chelsea V. Davis. So she's been working with Serena Farb to organize this amazing event. So we're going to get the whole details on all of this, and then it's very exciting. I'm very energized by this, and it's a new way to be an activist. So thank you so much, ladies, for coming on here to share your stories of inspiration, to motivate us to take action for our earth.
Thank you so much for having us. Excited
Thanks,
to be here.
Yes.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So tell us a little bit more about yourselves. Tami, would you like to start?
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you. So my name is Tami Hay, and I got into veganism and health when I was dealing with an inflammatory bowel disease, and I was quite ill for a few years. I was already eating organic, but I was still eating flesh and food periodically. And I went away to a wellness center called Hippocrates Health Institute. And I had been a long distance runner before I got sick, but I was so sick at that point, I couldn't even walk the beach. And 3 weeks later, I went for a half an hour run. And I was like, okay, this is the answer. And even though it was a wellness center for humans, it still taught me a lot about the environment and the treatment of animals. And it was all raw food, a lot of wheatgrass, a lot of juicing, a lot of sprouts, a lot of really high mineralized alkaline foods. And I kind of evolved into this place where I started, I did a master's in plant-based nutrition with Dr. Gabriel Cousins at the Tree of Life, and then went on to write a couple of books on gut health. And a few years ago, I was asked to do a presentation for climate healers. Dr. Will Tuttle had mentioned that he was going to a convergence, an online convergence at that time. And I ended up connecting with Dr. Sailesh Rao, and the rest is history. I've been part of the Climate Healers group for a few years now. And about a little over a year ago, I woke up with this vision. A friend of mine and I had been talking. He was a 50-year vegan and amazing artist, Jeff Francis. And we had been talking about the grandmothers coming forth, the vegan grandmothers coming forth, because that was the presence that we need on this planet, the grandmothers. And I brought this idea forward to Judy Carmen, the incredible vegan and author of Homo Ahimsa, and Sailesh, and they said, no, it's going to be 1 million. It's going to be 1 million. There's easily, if we crunch the numbers of vegans, it's going to be 1 million. So here I am. This is the year that we're galvanizing 1 million vegan grandmothers. And we've really come out trailblazing this year. We've just launched our podcast this week, our YouTube channel, and we're working to bring the grandmothers together. So anyone listening that is a vegan. You don't have to be necessarily a biological grandmother, just a wise vegan that wants to join the grandmothers in our coming forth around the world to promote veganism, because the fierce love of a grandparent is powerful and unstoppable. And so here we are. Thank you.
Amen to that. Yeah. Great. So, well, that's a great way to start. So, how about Chelsea? Tell us more about your vegan journey.
So I started going vegan after my father passed away, actually. He had a massive heart attack at 55, and I was in my early 20s, and it really shook me up. And I had always been very mindful of health. I watched Babe as a child and stopped eating pig for several years until I met my ex and went to college, and things kind of shifted, and I started really not taking very good care of my body. And then when my dad passed away, I was like, I really need to start taking care of myself. So I shifted. I started eating all organic. I kind of started the journey of going vegetarian, moved to Portland, Oregon, and looked around and saw the word vegan everywhere. And I was like, well, there's no excuse now. So that year I went to my first Veg Fest. I'd never heard of a Veg Fest. I was lucky to be in Portland that had one of the largest at the time. This was in 2007. And I looked around and I remember the moment going, these are my people and I want to do this one day. So I started volunteering with them. I took their Master Veg program, which I later ended up teaching myself because I was quickly hired by them to help with Veg Fest and all sorts of different events. I was their events and outreach coordinator for over 5 years. And from that, I started being introduced to so many amazing people and different types of activism. And so from there, I've done a lot of different things. I was part of the National Animal Rights Conference as their coordinator. I've done international or national tours. I've done all sorts of different summits, and a couple years ago, I actually co-founded Animal Rights Collective Portland here in Portland. And my whole focus is to create community and to create events that are welcoming and that people who are just curious, like a Veg Fest, I don't know a whole lot about this, but it sounds interesting. I want to go try some new food. I'm curious about, environmental or social justice or whatnot. And so I love to create events that make that a welcoming space, and also create situations and events where activists can feel empowered, because we have a high turnover in our movement, unfortunately, because we're not taught to take care of ourselves. And we're often involved in types of outreach that can be very draining and traumatic. And we're not seeing that immediate gratification that our society kind of lives on. So it's a slow road with this movement. And so learning more about how can I be most effective in my time is something that I've really shifted with. And with that, I'm really interested in legislation. I do a lot of legislative work. And that's how the Vegan Earth Day March came to be, is we really wanted to create a space that was energizing for activists that are current activists, bridge that gap with environmentalists, and then have very clear outcomes that we're looking for, which are encouraging individuals to go vegan, encouraging our governments to stop subsidizing and supporting animal agriculture, and getting people more aware of what the plant-based treaty is and how they can make a difference in their hometown, whether that's a different, various levels of government or a school that they're involved in or a business. So yeah, that's long-winded, my story.
Oh, you're muted, Marakita.
You're right. Sorry about that. Yeah, it offers a lot of potential to take action, definitely, different ways, it sounds like. So that's wonderful. Well, we have a little video, if you all would like to see, of the Vegan Earth Day March.
I would like to say one thing before we play the video.
Mhm.
So I want to, deeply thank, Chelsea and Serena, because one of the things I've been on my own and online connected to other vegans, but not in my area. And one of the things that the march has done is Serena and Chelsea connected people in their cities and really did an amazing job organizing. So thank you so much. And I was able to connect with a lot of vegan advocates, whether it was from PETA or Vegans and Vegetarians of Alberta, who came out to the march in Edmonton, Alberta, and the main fundraiser and coordinator of that, Jareen. And one of the things that Climate Healers began in November 19th of 2022 was Sailesh said that we really need to have a World Food Healers Day to show that if we can feed everyone one day of the year, every single person on the planet is our goal, then we can show that we can feed everyone and that we have enough food 7 times over to feed the world. More than that, possibly, if we all went vegan. There's plenty enough food to feed the world. And so one of the things that we've been asked to do for events is to bring a massive pot of unity stew, which my partner, my beloved friend and partner, Paul, and I made some amazing soup and this unity stew. And it was just such a pleasure to connect with other vegans in my city who had been really excited to do this march that was so well organized by these two founders and to serve the stew. And it was a combination of, we were serving the people that were coordinating everything or in the march or that were singing for us, or a lot of people on the street, a lot of street people that were passing by, and really happy to have a bowl of unity stew. So I just wanted to say that was my first march, and that was my actual first connection with the vegans in my area. I've been doing almost all my connection online, or the few people that I have as friends that are vegan, because I am in the Texas of Canada. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you. I'm ready to watch the video. Thank you.
Well, is there anything else that Chelsea, did you want to say anything before the video or tell anybody about the video?
Well, I just wanted to say, Tami, that brought tears to my eyes to hear that, because that's really, I'm also exhausted from this whole thing, so I'm more emotional. But that's what it's all about, is bringing everybody together and creating spaces where people feel welcomed and we can create that community, because we are so much stronger together. So another thing that I see, excuse me, in our movement is there's a lot of people that have beautiful intentions and they have beautiful ideas, but they're often the same ideas and they're working in parallel instead of coming together and working together and being that much stronger. So I'm blown away. Serena and I are absolutely blown away by the response that has come out of this march. We've worked very, very hard, but it wasn't just us. It was all of our partners. It was our sponsors. You guys being a fruit sponsor was so huge. And we're just very grateful for that. All of the city organizers and our volunteers, and just how everybody came together to really make it happen, because we all have that common goal. And I'm just really very excited. This is just the first year. Like, imagine what's going to happen next year and the year after that. And I'm very grateful and excited to see what the future brings now.
Well, thank you, Chelsea. And the first thing you said, one of the first things you said was, I am about building community, and you really succeeded this time. And the community isn't just going to be about the Vegan Earth Day March. I have a very strong feeling, in my fierce grandmother heart, that it's going to bring community in all kinds of ways, whether we're serving food, every month in our cities, maybe all the people from the Vegan Earth Day March are going to want to take on their city to feed people at least once a month, and bring community together to do that, because it's so joyful. And that's what I felt. It was so joyful being with other vegans, even if a lot of people didn't stop to talk to us or just came to get soup and didn't really want to hear too much about our vegan message. We were exuding joy and love, nothing else. Right. And so,
yeah, it's energizing and it's recharging. to be around everybody that has that common goal. And I forgot to mention another one of the big projects that I have is I started the vegan night market. And so we have that in Portland, and just seeing, to visually see something like the march that you work so hard on, and then you look around and you see everybody, and there's been such amazing connections that have come from that. Like, there's couples now, and there's people that have launched their businesses or their nonprofits, or, just so many cool things that come from putting together vegan events. And I know that that's what's going to happen with the March. And I'm very excited for it to be a launching pad for people that want to get involved in food healers, climate healers, million vegan grandmothers, and then also the plant-based treaty. We're going to be starting a chapter here in Portland. So I see it as a launching pad, and I'm really looking forward to doing events throughout the year, and just continuing to give people the tools that they need and the resources that they crave to be more effective and to build the community that they're looking for.
Well, y'all, I'm very inspired by hearing your stories, and this is just beautiful. And I know how wonderful it is to get together with people. I mean, for that common goal. I mean, when we did the march here in Atlanta, that was for in December, the Animal Activist March. Now I can't remember the exact name, but it was amazing, that energy to be with people. So yeah, I love being a part of that. So I encourage everybody that's listening to really find out and to connect with these powerful ladies and to take action in your city. Right? I mean, these are all new ideas, and who knows what ideas are going to be blossoming from just hearing this talk here. So all right, I'm very inspired. So I'll be happy to show the video. Let me see. Now, let me figure out how to do this, everybody. Please be patient.
And I believe this is the Portland one. That's a recap of Portland's event.
First one was one on Jane Unchained we were going to play.
Oh, gotcha. Great.
So this is a video that has been edited, and it's on Jane Unchained, or On Chain News now. It's called On Chain News now. And Paige Parson Roach sent it to this morning. We got in contact, and she was gracefully and graciously enough to connect me with Chelsea this morning. So Chelsea, thank you for coming on last minute.
Of course.
All right, so I'm going to share it, and if there are any issues, please let me know that if you can't see the video. I'm going to start it here. Let's see here.
And without love, y'all, if we're not doing this with the purest love in our heart, then we're part of the problem sometimes. One door closes, another one opens, hoping that hope makes you happy, but it won't unless you have the key. Gotta see every door to even explore your reality. Who are you? Who could you be? What do you see now when you look in a mirror? What do you see when you look at this world? Is it as clear as you want it to be? How clear do you want to be? How clear can you actually see? It's okay to not know. It's okay to grow. It's okay to confront what you thought was yourself and now know more than you ever thought you knew before. So now, grab that key. Open the door, grab a new thought, change your energy, turn that key. Please turn that key. Breathe. Give up for yourselves, y'all. Today was a beautiful day for so many people that you don't even know. And even confrontations that we have with people are still beautiful because at least they're not the same as they were before. Something happened to them, something changed in them, something agitated them, and it's waking people up sometimes to do that. We have to wake people up sometimes and make them feel that agitation, but with the most loving intention possible, yeah? And without love, y'all, if we're not doing this with the purest love in our heart, then we're part of the problem sometimes. But when we got that love there, we got that compassion there, right? And you know how you feel when you got the compassion in you, am I right? You know how you feel when you look at someone in the face and you're like, oh, I'm gonna love this person so good. Oh, they're mad at me right now, they're yelling things at me, but I'm about to love them so good. That's what I'm talking about. And I believe in every single one of you to do that better and better each day and to get easier and easier at it each day. I promise you, when you work at it, when you practice compassion, it practices you right back for the world. I love y'all. One more time, come back around again.
Change is coming, coming. A change is coming, coming. You can win in the right direction, you can ask him not to call, but change is coming, coming. A change is coming. Changes, 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 change. Just like a focus, something could be okay.
I always have to remember the name On Chain TV when she changed the name, and it seems to have been stuck in my mind from before. So yes, On Chain TV. Please subscribe to On Chain TV. There is such amazing stuff going on there. You know, to all our viewers, if you have not subscribed to On Chain TV, please do.
And it's an app now, so people can download it for free. You can watch it on your Roku, from your phone. It's great. She's got all sorts of documentaries and different interviews, and it's a wonderful resource to also give to people when you're doing outreach.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, and Paige Parsons Roach is on there with Sherry on plant-based and the verbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, plant-based and the verbs. So yeah, you know what really inspires me is what is reaching out to the people, to the environmentalists, making the connection. I loved it when you said that, Chelsea, because so I volunteer at a nature center, and I think, well, when we had the volunteer dinner, there was very, very few people there that were vegetarian, much, not vegan, but much less vegetarian. You know, there were I think the CEO was, she was vegetarian, but there really wasn't that connection between the environment and, so how is that working? I mean, have you seen people shifting, or, have you gotten into talks with environmentalists?
Yes. I talk to environmentalists a lot. That was my minor was environmental sustainability, and I was one of the few vegans. But that is also what helped me along my journey, as one of my instructors was vegetarian, and he said you can't call yourself environmentalist and not be at least a vegetarian. So I think that there is awareness, but I think that there is also a lot of talk within the environmental movement of regenerative farming and getting away from factory farming and going to small farms. And so there's a lot of times that I've noticed that they don't want to be associated with the word vegan because they think that that's going to hurt their ability to reach out. I know people who are vegan that work for large organizations that don't say that they're vegan, and they're working kind of from the inside. And I know that they're making differences just being there, but it can be frustrating, is I guess the best word, when we're trying to talk to environmentalists and bridge that gap. But when I do talk to environmentalists, I try to ask questions. And because most of them are talking about fossil fuels. And I think that the reason, and Serena goes into this much more eloquently, the reason that environmental groups and the bulk of environmentalists focus on fossil fuels, it's a way to separate themselves from the problem, instead of taking individual responsibility and saying that, oh, what I'm doing is actually causing harm. So the more that we can talk to them about, we need everything done. Of course, we need to divest from fossil fuels and shift away from fossil fuels, but we also need to replant trees, and we also need to decrease our consumption of animals, and really take a look at what that's doing. So I think if you can meet people where they're at, and you can start with a conversation of fossil fuels, and then you say, and what else, what else can we talk about? Then there's a way of bridging that gap. And that's kind of like what, Extinction Rebellion, they had a subsect of they have Animal Rising now, which was Animal Rebellion. And that was their way of trying to bridge that gap. And so I think if we have more groups that are focused on that, and like, where can we meet and what can we do that's more, I think that's where things are going to shift.
Well, that's very important to know, these tips that you're giving us, because a lot of times I do talk to environmentalists and I don't know exactly where to meet them. So, I mean, I love what you're saying. I mean, really, again, going back to the listening to what is important to them and acknowledging that first, and then and expanding, how can we do more than that, and bringing new awareness in that way. And so JJ is asking, what's the best way to tell environmentalists why it makes a difference?
I think, again, just seeing where that particular environmentalist is coming from. If maybe they're talking about land use, you can say that, half of the land on Earth is used towards animal agriculture. Or if I went and I visited my sister a little while ago, and we were sitting in the front yard and talking about her lawn, and she was like, oh, I don't water it because I care about the earth. And say, well, 51% of the water that's used in California goes to animal agriculture. So you can kind of, by listening, see where people are coming from, and then you can try to steer it. But don't get deflated by one-on-one conversations with people, because honestly, what is going to make the biggest difference is you just living your truth and showing that you are a kind individual that is doing your best to decrease the amount of suffering in the world, and you're leading by example in that way. And people do take notice. And again, creating events, or maybe if they, I've had non-vegan speakers at events of mine, because I want their network to come and I want to bridge that gap. So maybe you find out, oh, what environmental group are you with? I'd love to organize a speaker, or let's have a potluck and we can have you guys come talk, or something like that. And then really, again, getting more interested and focused on legislation, because, for example, in the state of Oregon, we currently have a factory farm moratorium in our state Senate, in the legislature. If that passes, that would make it so no new factory farms could come into the state of Oregon, and none of the existing factory farms could expand, which is going to save way more animals, way more water, way more land than me going and doing individual outreach. So I really encourage people to look at what is going on even in their state Senate. There's a lot of power that we have as constituents. And also, it doesn't matter what age you are. I just did a virtual verbal testimony, and I think she was 11. There was an 11-year-old that was also giving testimony to outlaw cosmetics that use animal testing in the state of Oregon. So really, it's for everybody. Legislation is for everybody, and I really encourage them to get involved.
That's great, Chelsea. the Million Vegan Grandmothers need a fiery, very competent person like you to join us and help us with some of these things that we have great ideas about, but we don't quite know how to implement them, you know? And so, I mean, consider joining the Million Vegan Grandmothers. Sailesh also has a really great video on climate healers called The Regeneration Hoax. And the other person that I would really give a big shout out to is Helen Athro. And she's a very long time veganic farmer, and she actually does really great presentations. She's a biologist, and she does really great presentations on, you know, her piece of land, veganic land, and this so-called regenerative farm that's right beside her, and how much more depleted and dried out and less resilient it is than her land. So we do know that that's a hoax. The regeneration, animal regeneration, agriculture, you know, small farming is a hoax. It's still, you know, depleting a lot of the land, whereas the real authentic regeneration is allowing the wildlife to come back and do its job, and having a home for the wildlife, and having living soil, this veganic living soil, so that the pests and the predators of the pests have a natural balance within that regeneration, true veganic regeneration land. So yeah, thank you.
That's beautiful. Let me ask, here's JJ asking what resources to send them. So I'm wondering, this is like, I think the environmentalist again, like what would you suggest? Like what documentaries or what books perhaps that might be interesting to them?
If they're willing to, I would definitely recommend Cowspiracy, because it really goes into depth of why this isn't in the forefront of environmentalist group talking about going plant-based, which I do see is shifting a little bit. I don't know if anybody here is on Instagram, but they had a bunch of, in the stories, they had little stickers that you could add for Earth Day. And if you click on it, then the fourth thing down was transitioning to a plant-based lifestyle and eating more plant-based. That's big. That's really big. So I do see the shift is happening. So yeah, Cowspiracy is wonderful. I would honestly point them towards Unchained, the app, Unchained TV's app, because there's a lot of resources there. Of course, climate healers, and looking into Sailesh Rao's talks, because the thing about Sailesh Rao is he goes into what the IPCC reports, the science behind it, and then really dissects it and makes it into a more palatable presentation for people to understand and see how skewed those numbers are, and why there's so much confusion too. And I do want to also point out, for those that aren't aware of the IPCC, so they're a what is it, I think it's International Panel of Climate Change Scientists. And they're supposed to be non-governmental and non-biased. And unfortunately, there was just a release of some documentation that proved that they had removed the recommendation for people to eat more plant-based with their 6th installment of their last report. And I think that's really important to share with people. So that could be something that you could point out too, because most environmentalists know who the IPCC is. They know what the report is. They know that it is supposed to be factual. And if you can share, well, did you know that the number one guideline that they were going to give individuals was to switch to a plant-based lifestyle, and that was removed because of animal agriculture. And that's how powerful the animal agriculture industry is. And again, that shows how much we need to get more involved in fighting against that, especially with legislation. The US Farm Bill is being rewritten this year. That happens every 5 years. And what's written in there is programs, and like the SNAP program, which is a nutrition program, and also where all the money is going to go for subsidies and support for different industries. That is it's a $709 billion package. And right now we have the opportunity of submitting comment and saying we want things to change. We want the subsidies to change. We want Currently, only 4% of the money for subsidies goes towards fruits and vegetables, and the rest is animal agriculture and animal agriculture feed. And so if we can put the pressure on the people that are writing this into law and say, listen to your constituents, listen to what customers want. You go to the supermarket and half of the milk section is dairy free, is plant-based milk. So why isn't at least half of the money for subsidies going towards plant-based foods? So why don't we have more programs like Rancher Advocacy Program that's literally holding people's hands, ranchers' hands, and shifting them to growing mushrooms in old chicken, the chicken torture houses, and all of these programs. We have the money for it. It just needs to be shifted. So again, I really recommend people getting involved in that. Agriculture Fairness Alliance is actually a vegan lobbying group that is doing a lot of great work on this. Renee with Rancher Advocacy Program is working with them and creating a vegan voter hub. And then also one of our advisors for the Vegan Earth Day March is Eloisa, that runs Chili's on Wheels and Animal Vegan Alliance. And we're actually doing a comment writing session today at 5 o'clock Pacific time. So right when this is over, people can head on over to that. And specifically, we're writing comments to the people that are writing or updating the Farm Bill right now on what is happening in our schools. I don't know if people are aware, but children need to have a doctor's note in order to not be served cow's milk, which is so wrong on so many levels. I mean, there's so many people that don't have insurance. There's so many people that don't have the time to take a day off to take their child. Maybe the child can't leave school. I mean, there's so many levels to this. We are not cows. We're not meant to have cow's milk. And the reason there's even cow's milk in school is because there's a surplus because of how the Farm Bill is written and subsidies work. So if we can get those things shifted in the schools, then they won't have a place. And also in the SNAP program and WIC, they won't have a place for all of that excess to go. And then they're going to have to cut down on the subsidies. So I recommend people check that out and just, learning more about the Farm Bill and how you can get involved in getting it updated.
Yes, I remember speaking with Connie Spence, and she really, she enlightened me on a different live stream. So thank God you all are working hard at this, and you have you know what you're talking about, right? You are educated and you're taking action. So it's a tremendous blessing to have people like you doing this, Chelsea. And you know what? One time I was working in a grocery store, and there was a lady, then she had a daycare, and she came through and she had to buy she bought like 15 milks. I don't remember if it was 15 gallons or like 20 gallons, and she was giving them away. She asked me, do I need one? And I said, no, but she had to buy them. Mm-hmm. She was forced to buy that milk for the daycare. And it just made me sick because she didn't want them. I mean, and just wasted lives. It's very.
I was talking to somebody, and they said at the school that they worked at, if the kids didn't want it, they made them open it up and pour it out, because that's how the school got funding. Like it's so corrupt on so many levels, but it all goes back to the Farm Bill. And the other thing too, I know Tami isn't in the United States, and there's probably plenty of people watching this that aren't in the United States. The Farm Bill affects the world. It affects how trade happens within the agricultural realm. And a lot of different countries look to the US on how they're doing things. And so it's such a far-reaching, impactful thing that happens. And it's only every 5 years. And I'm honestly very surprised that not more groups are talking about it. Like, if we could all come together, the millions of vegans that we have, or people that just care about their kids and what they're being fed in school, there could be so much unity and power behind that. And we have time. Like, we have, a couple more months until comments are going to be closed and everything's going to be done. So there's time to really create this global shift. And again, that's what we wanted to do with the Vegan Earth Day March. And we will be having ongoing trainings, and would love to have the woman that you were talking about, Tami, about veganic gardening. And just, again, helping people understand, because I think the thing that's been missing in a lot of marches and global days of action is it's just one day and then they're done. And then there's not much talk until, you know, a couple months before the next one. And there's so much momentum that's created and so much energy that people, you know, build up with events like this. And so if we can like immediately shift it to, okay, here's an action that you can do. You can endorse the plant-based treaty. You can sign on as a chapter. You can submit comments to the, you know, food bill or the farm bill. I think it's going to really help people feel more empowered and like they're able to be a part of change.
Well, the grandmothers write a lot of letters, and one of the letters we did write was a thank you letter to Representative Carter, who was trying to bring awareness to the school system needing access to potentially soy milk and switching it to soy milk instead of dairy. And so I think all the listeners and everyone at Climate Healers would like to get involved in that farm bill. I know that milk is very heavily subsidized. The grandmothers also wrote a letter in Canada, which we didn't receive any reply. A lot of our messages did get replies, but that one did not, saying that we no longer will accept the subsidizing of the milk products in our children's school, and the reason why. So I'd be happy to share those letters with you, Chelsea. And I'm wondering if you would like to play a couple. It's lovely how we come together, and you know, we actually get to talk about, you know, the most urgent matter, which is this farm bill right now. But in celebration of the first ever Vegan Earth Day March, maybe Chelsea would like to play a couple videos in a couple other cities that we're celebrating in.
Yeah, sure.
I would love to see that. Definitely. There's so much to talk about, and you all have so much knowledge, and definitely.
And maybe at the end of this, we can put a link where people can get involved in the farm bill that's being passed in the next couple months.
That would be great. Can you see it on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is in Napoli, Italy. So the Vegan Earth Day March was an international event. We were in over 50 cities in 26 countries. And so this is a quick reel that the organizers put together. I love how visual they made everything.
That's exciting.
I know.
Yeah.
They're, you know, way ahead of us. So I actually saw that Friday night before all of the US events happened. And I was just like, it's happening. This is so exciting.
Wow. And how many countries?
26.
26 countries. That's amazing. So where did you march, Chelsea?
So I am in Portland, Oregon, in the Pacific Northwest. We actually didn't do a march because it was too much for me to do both. So we partnered with the local farmers market and had our event right next to the farmers market. And the reason that we did that, I could have done the event next to City Hall in downtown Portland. But if we were there, we wouldn't have had any people passing by to be able to talk to. Whereas we were actually in a suburb in Beaverton, where I live, at the farmers market here, and they have thousands of people come, and people were walking through, and we were able to talk to people, and people stopped by and listened to our speakers, and we were just able to reach, you know, the general public, which was really what we wanted. So yeah, it was really great. We had 4 great speakers. Seth Tibbett, the founder of Tofurkey, is a friend of mine, so he came. We had Hope Bohanec, who is with Executive Director of Compassionate Living, spoke. Peter Spendelow, who's a zoologist and co-founder of Northwest Veg, spoke, and Aaron Wing, who is the Deputy Director of Undercover Investigations at Animal Outlook, spoke. So it was a really great day. And I can show a little video from that. Let me get it queued up.
Okay. These videos are great.
Alrighty. Let me just share the screen real quick. Okay, there. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I'm Chelsea Davis, the co-founder of the International Vegan Earth Day March, and we are here in Portland, Oregon for Vegan Earth Day. It's been an incredible day of being able to do outreach and show people that we really need to be including vegan in Earth Day.
Having a vegan Earth Day, I think, is very important to remind the public that it's not just your cars and planes and plastic, but their choices every single day when they go to the supermarket, and what they put on their plate is a massive contributor to all the environmental issues that we have.
A lot of people don't realize how animal agriculture affects our planet and obviously the lives of animals.
You can't talk about the environment and all these issues without talking about the most obvious thing, which is the effect of animal agriculture on the planet.
Animal agriculture is one of the leading causes of our current climate and ecological crisis, and it is time that we come together and demand that our governments around the world stop subsidizing, supporting, and bailing out animal agriculture. It is the year that the Farm Bill is being updated, and it is imperative that everybody get involved in current legislation, whether it is on the city, state, and federal level. And that's why we're so excited to be partnered with the Plant-Based Treaty. We had a number of people, hundreds of people, sign up to endorse the Plant-Based Treaty today, not only individuals, but businesses, and started having conversations with our local government.
I'm excited to endorse the Plant-Based Treaty as an individual and a business, and I encourage you all to do the same.
Wildwood Farm Sanctuary Preserve is proud to endorse the Plant-Based Treaty.
I love and endorse the Plant-Based Treaty. I'm proud to be a signer myself, and Tofurkey, as a business, is proud to support it too.
Look up the Plant-Based Treaty. You can find it at plantbasedtreaty.org, or you can visit veganearthdaymarch.org to find out more and endorse it yourself.
Well, I'm ready to march.
I know, after seeing all of the marching videos, I was like, we're figuring out a march next year for Portland. It's just, yeah, it's a lot of logistics, and it was, I honestly didn't even know that the Portland one was going to happen until the Tuesday before because of all the back and forth with the city. So I'm just happy that it came together, and we were able to really reach a lot of people in the general public. And what's cool too is there's a number of vegan vendors in the farmers market, and some of them reached out and said they had their best market ever because we brought so many people out, and then we were directing them. So again, like, you know, working with others, that Beaverton Farmers Market, they're there about community, we're there about community, and so supporting one another is really great.
Yeah, I love that, because a lot of times we don't want to be with people that aren't vegan. And in order to make a change, we have to listen to them. We have to build that rapport, like you're saying. We've got to get out there and show them a new way of thinking, a new way of living that they might not, I mean, that they just don't understand. And so it's beautiful that you're not going there and judging. You're saying, come on, let's get together and build this community, and let me learn about you. And in exchange, you know, they'll want to learn about, you know, I mean, they'll want to learn about us if we're kind, and we want to know about them. That's the key to building community. And we've got to have these respectful conversations and to stand up for our beliefs like you all are doing. I mean, it's really inspiring, and I just want to just tell everybody to reach out to you all. I mean, this hour is going by so fast. I can't believe it. And so I'm going to stop talking, and you all just let me know, you know, what is it that you want to share with our audience?
Do you want to go, Tami?
Yeah, I would really love everyone to get involved with the Million Vegan Grandmothers, just in whatever small way you can. There's a way to sign up on climatehealers.org. We're in conjunction with Climate Healers. We also have a convergence coming up this weekend. Every 3 months, we have a convergence. We have amazing, amazing people that share their time and and come and present. And it's Silesh says, you know, I was just interviewing Silesh on the new Million Vegan Grandmothers podcast, and he said, you know, it's addictive. It's our convergences are addictive, and they're a way to not feel alone, you know. So whether we're gathering a community within our vicinity, and you know, the touch kind of community, or online, everything we do really, really matters, you know. And I guess the last thing I'd like to say, and I'm hoping that I can leave enough time for Chelsea to maybe play the New York video, because I would love to see that. I haven't seen it yet. I really love to teach self-love, self-care. I'm writing my 3rd book right now called Grief Mapping, and I'm writing it in conjunction with the understanding that, you know, the individual grief is the collective grief, and helping people. And I've developed 5 stages of grieving that are a little bit more empowering than maybe Kubler-Ross. And I don't need to sound arrogant around that. Kubler-Ross was a really powerful person that really brought grief, normalized grief. But we need to move beyond anger and apathy and depression and just basic acceptance. We need to move into the felt sense shock, and then empathy, and then creative action, and then love and care. We really need to love and care each other through it, and then build new pathways in community to heal. And that's the 5 stages of grief grief mapping. So I just invite everyone to do lots and lots of self-care, and it doesn't take a lot of time. That's the thing, you know. Stay really super hydrated. Come back to your breath continually through the day, and look around and clear, and just do some simple movement, and thank yourself. You know, thank yourself. You know, I get a little emotional when I say that, but we are enough. And we deserve to feel grateful for ourselves in this work. So thank you both for your work. And I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Tami. Go ahead, Chelsea.
Tami, that's so powerful. And I think it's so relevant to our movement of being able to take a breath, literally, and remind ourselves that this is a long-term game, or game is the wrong word, but this is a long-term movement. And of course, we want to see immediate action. And sometimes we do. Sometimes we do see things happen overnight where schools go plant-based, and, you know, certain places will get rid of dairy. But a lot of times it's a lot of continual work, and reminding ourselves that that's enough. Like, what we're doing is enough. Because I, for one, and I know a lot of people are this way, I always feel like I'm not doing enough, and I overextend myself, and then I'll get sick, or, you know, something will kind of take me down, and it's not sustainable. So what we can do to really kind of take a step back and be like, okay, is what I'm working on going to be the most effective for the movement? Is it going to be the best for me? Is it the healthiest for me? Some people can really handle doing visuals, you know, constantly. Other people need to understand that they have too much empathy, and going there, maybe they feel drained afterwards. Maybe that's not the best outreach for you. Maybe your outreach is that you're a great graphic designer and you can lend that to an organization or a movement. So feeling like I always want to remind people that there is a place for them in the movement, that we need everybody. We need different types of people. We need people with different backgrounds and skills. And you can really give a lot to the movement in different ways. It doesn't have to be like what people see on TikTok or Instagram, when, some people are really good at being confrontational and having a sign that says, ask me while I'm vegan, and other people get really, tense about talking to the public. That's okay. You can still come to a protest or a march, and you can just hold a sign and make sure that you have a seasoned activist next to you. So if somebody comes up to you, then you can direct them to them. So yeah, I just want everybody to know that we need you and we love you and we appreciate you, and you have a place in this movement. And we need everybody to come together and do what they can in the most sustainable and effective way. I would love to show the New York City. So we actually made it on CBS News for New York City, which was very exciting. Just going to share my screen one more time. And Serena Farb, my co-founder, was at this one.
The city was also one of 50 across at least 26 countries that held a vegan Earth Day march, urging government officials to support the plant-based treaty, a grassroots initiative putting food systems at the forefront of fighting the climate crisis.
Animal consumption is the root cause of a lot of global issues. That's food scarcity, that's antibiotic resistance, that's pandemics.
It was building as we were walking. And then not only that, but people were just at their windows, like looking out, giving us the thumbs up.
That's right. I know we have just a couple minutes left. I do want to encourage everybody to follow us on social media, Vegan Earth Day March on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, we are vegan_earth_day, Vegan Earth Day. You can also visit our website, veganearthdaymarch.org, to sign up for our newsletter. And you can follow me too. I'm Veggies Do It Better on Instagram, TikTok, all the Facebook and YouTube. We have a lot of videos on YouTube as well from our various trainings that we did for our organizers and other talks and things like that. So reach out with any questions. And if you're watching this live, head on over to any of those pages on Facebook, Vegan Earth Day March or Veggies Do It Better, and you can find out about the comment kind of action hour that Chili's on Wheels is doing.
Wow. Well, this has been very informative. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to all of our channels. Does the Million Vegan Grandmothers have a channel on YouTube, Tami?
Yes, we do. Million Vegan Grandmothers. Yes.
Great.
We launched last week and we launched our podcast this week. So.
All right. Great.
And I'm interviewing Chelsea and Serena on that podcast coming up soon, I'm sure.
Oh, I would love to. And I want to thank you so much, Tami, again, and the Million Vegan Grandmothers for all of your support. Really, they're one of our top sponsors, and this was such a grassroots movement that without the support of the different organizations financially and just sharing the event and everything, like we weren't able to do any advertisement on Facebook because they changed their regulations and everything. We have to go through a new verification process. So that just shows how grassroots this was and how organic this movement is. And it would have been possible without people like Tami and all the groups that supported us. So thank you so much.
And thank you all to my colleagues and my friends at climatehealers.org and our convergences this weekend. If you just go into climatehealers.org, you'll see VCOP at the top of our browser. And thank you, Chelsea, and thank you, Mariquita. It's been a pleasure. Namaste, vegan.
Namaste, vegan, everybody. This is wonderful, y'all. Please reach out to these beautiful ladies and take action, right? Take action for our planet, for our health, and for the animals, right? We really want you to be someone that people look at and say, why are they so happy? Or, why are they so full of life? And the answer is because we're stepping up for our planet. We're vegan and we're making choices to enable our planet to thrive and all living beings to live in peace. So like Tami said, take good care of yourself tonight and send yourself love. And we're celebrating you. I'm celebrating everyone that's watching and these two powerful women with me. And thank you all so much. So namaste vegan, everybody. Bye-bye.